All right, so this is 17.3. This is absolute value equations. So we're going to go ahead and work through this. Now, absolute value equations, what happens is the absolute value of, sorry, let me make sure that I got my pencil working. 17.3. Hold on a second. Make sure my pencil is connected. There you go. So when you have the absolute value of x, before we put the x into the absolute value symbols, we don't know was x positive or was it negative, right? Because we know the absolute value of anything is going to be positive. Now, one of the things that we know is that if a is greater than or equal to 0, then there's a solution. But if a is greater than 0, it's less than 0, sorry, then there is no solution, because again, we know that this is absolute value is distance from 0, right? And so distance is always going to be positive. So here we have the first example. And so we're going to have that x is equal to 5 or x was equal to -5 before we put it into the absolute value symbol. So then that's your solution sets, -5 and 5. Sorry, I should have written it this way, such that x is equal to 5 or x is equal to -5. So again, here, before we do the plus or minus, we're going to have to move the 2 over to the other side. So we have the absolute value of w is equal to 14, which means that w is equal to 14 or w is equal to -14. And so all numbers are w such that w is equal to 14 or w is equal to -14. Those are the two values that will make this a true statement. All right. The next one here, since 0 is not positive, then the absolute value is just 0. And that's it. For this one here, we know the absolute value is distance from 0, right? And so the absolute value of any expression cannot be negative. So in this one, there is no solution. All right, let's do some of these here. Is going to be is equal to 7 or y is equal to -7. For this one here, we're going to subtract the 6 from both sides. So we have the absolute value of v is equal to 4. So v is equal to -4 or v is equal to 4. And here we can just write it as this. Right, same thing here. Again, here, absolute value of w is simple 0. And this one here is going to be no solution. All right, let's go for this one. When you have an expression, again, you have to solve it both ways. So 2w minus 3 is equal to -5, or 2w minus 3 is equal to 5. So I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I get -2. I'm solving for w, so I get a -1 on this side. If I add the 3 to both sides, I get w2 is equal to 8. And if I divide both sides, I get w is equal to 4. So then your solution set would be -1, 4. All right, here's again. So we're going to have 4x plus 1 is equal to 9, or 4x plus 1 is equal to -9. So I'm going to subtract the 1 from both sides. So I get 8, and then I divide both sides by 4, and I get 2. Here, we do the same thing. So it's just a process that you do it on both sides. So it's going to be -10. So x is equal to -10 divided by 4. And your solution set is going to be the following. No need to write it as a mixed number. So for this one here, we're going to subtract the 6 from both sides first before we do the plus or minus. So 2 minus 6 is -4. So then you can see here that this one has no solution because absolute value is distance and it cannot be negative. For this one here again, if I subtract 3 from both sides, I get that the absolute value of 3z plus 10 is equal to negative 2. So there, again, there's no solution, right? Just remember that. All right. So this one has a few more steps. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 7 to both sides. And we still have 2/5 p plus 3 is equal to negative 12. Then we're going to divide both sides by 2, right? By negative 2, sorry. And so when we do that, we get, let me write that again, we get 2/5 p plus 3 is equal to 6. Now we can go ahead and solve it. So 2/5 p plus 3 is equal to negative 6. 2/5 p plus 3 is equal to 6. So we're going to subtract the 3 from this side. So we get 2/5 p is equal to negative 9. And then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So then p is equal to negative 45 over 2. Here we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So we get 2 over 5p is equal to 3. We multiply both sides by the reciprocal. We get 15 over 2. And so your solution sets negative 45 over 2 and then 15 over 2. All right. That one's extra credit for you guys. This one, we're going to go ahead and skip these two. I think I have another one here I'm going to skip. Yeah, there you go. So now this one's going to solving. We have two absolute values. So we have expressions where have absolute values on the left and the right. And we're going to solve these exactly the same way that we did the other ones, regardless of whether it's a full expression. So in this case, 2w minus 3 is going to be equal to negative, and then w plus 5. Or 2w minus 3 is going to be equal to 5w plus 1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to distribute the negative. I'm going to add 5w to both sides. So it's going to be 7w minus 3 is equal to negative 1. I'm going to add the 3. And then I'm going to divide, right? Here, I'm going to subtract the 2w. So this is going to be 3w plus 1. Subtract the 1, which is going to be negative 4. And then w is going to be equal to negative 4 over 3. So negative 4/3 and 2/7 is the solution to this one. That one's extra for you guys. Here again, right? So we got an x minus 4 is equal to negative x plus 8. Or x minus 4 is equal to x plus 8. So I'm going to distribute the negative. I'm going to add x to both sides. So I have 2x minus 4 is equal to negative 8. Add the 4 to both sides. And then divide by 2, and you get x is equal to negative 2. Here I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and I end up with negative 4 is equal to 8. That is not a solution. So the only solution to this one is negative 2. All right. Same thing here. 4t plus 3 is equal to negative 4t minus 5. Or 4t plus 3 is equal to 4t minus 5. So if I subtract the 4t from both sides, I get 3 is equal to negative 5. That makes no sense, right? So that's no solution there. I'm going to distribute the negative on the right side. I'm going to add 4t to both sides. So I get 8t plus 3 is equal to 5. Subtract the negative 3. I get 2. And then here I get t is equal to 2/8 or 1/4. And I believe that's the end of 7.3. Thank you.